The scorched battlefield reeked of ozone and blood. Kilara moved silently through the wreckage, her four-fingered hand resting on the hilt of her pulse blade. Her scaled skin, iridescent blue in the dying light of the twin suns, blended with the shadows as she navigated the twisted metal and shattered glass. This borderland planet had seen 3 major battles in as many months. The war between humans and Arathi had left countless dead on both sides, but it had also created opportunity for scavengers like her, warriors without armies, fighting only for themselves. A flash of movement caught her compound eyes. She froze, her secondary eyelids sliding closed to sharpen her vision in the dust-filled air. There, beneath the crumpled hull of what had been a human dropship, a survivor. Kilara approached cautiously, her muscular tail balancing her life form as she stepped over debris. Protocol dictated she should kill any human she encountered. Her people considered them vermin, dangerous, unpredictable creatures spreading across the galaxy like a disease. But Kilara had been exiled from her clan for questioning such absolutism. She no longer followed protocol. She followed instinct. "Don't move," she hissed in the trade language as the human stirred. It was male. She could tell, broad-shouldered but lean, with dark hair matted with blood. His combat armor was cracked and scorched, barely holding together. His eyes fluttered open, revealing irises the color of Arathi night blossoms. Deep violet, unusual for a human. "Kill me quickly then," he rasped, a trickle of blood running from the corner of his mouth. Kilara tilted her head, her crest flaring slightly in surprise. "You speak our language." "Enough to die in it," he managed, then winced as pain clearly shot through him. Something tugged at Kilara, something beyond curiosity. She knelt beside him, her scanner already assessing his injuries. Multiple fractures, internal bleeding, but nothing immediately fatal if treated. "What's your designation?" she asked, beginning to clear debris from his trapped legs. "Dominic. Lieutenant Dominic Varn." He coughed, eyes widening as he realized she was helping him. "What are you doing?" "I haven't decided yet," Kilara answered truthfully. "But leaving you to die seems wasteful." Night would fall soon, bringing predators far more dangerous than either human or Arathi soldiers. She needed to move him. "Can you stand?" she asked, offering her 3-pronged hand. Dominic stared at it for a long moment, clearly weighing the likelihood that this was some form of cruel Arathi trick against his chances of survival without help. Finally, he reached up. Their hands locked, and something electric passed between them. A jolt that wasn't pain or pleasure, but something else entirely. Kilara nearly dropped him, her crest fully extending in alarm. "What was that?" Dominic gasped as she pulled him upright, his weight leaning heavily against her stronger frame. "Nothing," she lied, supporting him as they began the slow journey toward her hidden shelter in the ridgeline 2 kilometers away. "Save your strength. The journey will not be easy." As they moved through the battlefield graveyard, Kilara felt the watching eyes of the dead, human and Arathi alike. For generations, their peoples had fought over territory, resources, and ultimately the right to exist. She had lost family, friends, and finally her place among her people. Now she was saving one of the enemy. But as Dominic's labored breathing fell into rhythm with her own, Kilara couldn't shake the feeling that the universe had orchestrated this meeting, and that the strange sensation when they touched was only the beginning of something that would change everything. 3 days had passed since Kilara brought the human to her shelter, a natural cave system she'd modified with salvage technology. Dominic's fever had finally broken, his resilient human physiology fighting off infection with the help of the medical nanites she'd reluctantly sacrificed from her limited supply. Kilara watched him sleep, puzzled by her own actions. She'd risked everything for this human, and still didn't understand why. Dominic stirred, violet eyes opening to find her staring. "You're still here," he murmured, voice stronger than before. "I thought I dreamed you." "You talk in your sleep," she replied, mixing a nutrient solution suitable for human consumption. Names, places, none that I recognize. He attempted to sit up, wincing as the movement pulled at his wounds. Battle memories. They follow you, even in sleep. A warrior's burden, she agreed, surprising herself with the admission of common ground. Kayla approached with the nutrient solution. Your outer garments were damaged beyond repair. I need to check your wounds. Dominic hesitated, then nodded, allowing her to help him remove the temporary medical wrap she'd fashioned around his torso. As the covering fell away, Kayla gasped, her crest flaring in shock. His chest and abdomen were a landscape of scars, some surgical, others clearly from combat. Burns, punctures, lacerations, a testament to a life of violence. But what froze her blood was the mark just below his left collarbone. A spiral pattern with 3 intersecting lines, the Felici symbol, the forbidden sigil. Where did you get this? She demanded, one clawed finger hovering over the mark without touching it. Dominic looked down, confusion crossing his face. The scar. I don't know. I've had it as long as I can remember. This is no ordinary scar, Kayla hissed, backing away. This is the mark of the Nexus being from our ancient texts, the one who would either destroy our people or unite us with humans. Dominic finished, eyes widening. It's impossible, she whispered. The texts are forbidden now, but I saw them before my exile. This mark belongs to one who stands between worlds, who carries both bloodlines. Dominic laughed bitterly. I'm fully human, I assure you. Are you? Kayla challenged. Your eyes are unusual. Your recovery accelerated. Something flickered in his expression. Doubt. My parents died when I was young. I was raised in military orphanages. I don't know much about my origins. Kayla's mind raced. The prophecy of the Nexus being was thousands of years old, predating contact with humans, or so everyone believed. Yet here was a human bearing the mark. May I? She asked, hand hovering above the symbol again. He nodded, watching her intently as her cool fingers traced the pattern. The moment she touched it, images flashed through her mind. Stars exploding, worlds forming. 2 distinct DNA helixes intertwining. She pulled back, gasping. You saw it too, he whispered, not a question. Their eyes met, mutual distrust now mingled with something new. A connection neither could deny and neither understood. Who are you, Dominic Varn? She asked softly. I don't know anymore, he admitted, but I think you're the one who's going to help me find out. A violent ion storm trapped them in the shelter for days. The confined space, barely 20 meters square, forced proximity that neither would have chosen. They circled each other warily at first, then with growing curiosity. Your kind believes we're savages, Dominic said one evening as they shared a meal of reconstituted rations. Kayla's crest rippled in what Dominic had come to recognize as amusement. And yours believes we're cold-blooded killers, aren't you? He challenged, though his tone held no malice. Technically, my blood runs cooler than yours, she replied, but the metaphor is flawed. He smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. It transformed his face, softening the hard lines of battle and suffering. I've killed, she continued more seriously. So have you. We're soldiers. But there's warmth in me, Dominic Varn. The way she said his name sent an unexpected shiver through him. Outside, the storm howled, electromagnetic pulses causing the lights to flicker. Why were you exiled? He asked, changing the subject. Kayla stiffened. I questioned the matriarchy's war doctrine, suggested that coexistence might be possible. Her upper eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of emotional distress. My own clutch sister denounced me. Dominic moved closer, their shoulders almost touching. I'm sorry. What about you? She deflected. What were you doing on a suicide mission so far from human territory? Following orders, he said automatically, then frowned. At least, That's what I thought. But lately, I've had dreams, memories, maybe, of being somewhere else. A laboratory. People talking about the subject, while I was present but not acknowledged. Kaylara's gaze dropped to the mark on his chest, visible through his thin undershirt. The Nexus being is said to be drawn to the convergence point when the time comes. You believe I'm this mythical figure. I believe nothing yet, she said. But the evidence is compelling. A particularly violent electromagnetic pulse plunged them into darkness. Dominic felt Kaylara tense beside him. The backup should engage, she murmured, but nothing happened. In the pitch black, other senses heightened. He could smell her, an alien scent like cinnamon and ozone. Could hear her breathing quicken slightly. Could feel the heat radiating from her body. Kaylara, he said, her name feeling right on his tongue. I can't see. I can, she replied softly. Her hand found his in the darkness, cool scales against warm skin. My species evolved as nocturnal hunters. Something about the vulnerability of blindness, combined with the steady pressure of her hand, broke a barrier between them. Dominic turned toward her voice, his free hand finding her face, tracing the elegant ridge of her crest, the smooth scales of her cheek. She inhaled sharply but didn't pull away. Instead, her fingers interlocked with his while her other hand hesitantly explored his features, so alien to her, yet increasingly familiar. This is madness, she whispered as their faces drew closer. Is it? He countered, breath warm against her skin. Or is it why we're both here? When their lips met, his soft and warm, hers cool and firm, the mark on his chest burned like a star gone supernova, illuminating the darkness with impossible light. Dawn broke with the whine of dropship engines. Kaylara was already in motion, gathering essential supplies while Dominic checked the perimeter sensors. Arathi ships, she confirmed grimly. Military grade, not scavengers. How did they find us? Dominic asked, fastening the salvaged combat vest she'd modify for him. Kaylara's expression darkened. The storm last night. The energy from what happened between us. The mark reacted. It must have emitted some kind of signal. Neither had spoken about the intimacy they'd shared when the lights failed, the unexpected tenderness, the shocking intensity of their connection, or the way the mark had glowed with inner light at the moment of their closest union. There hadn't been time, and now there might never be. Can we outrun them? Dominic asked, checking the charge on the pulse pistol she'd given him. No, she said, but we can outfight them if necessary. She tossed him a small device. Emergency beacon. If we're separated, activate it. They slipped from the shelter through a hidden exit, descending into a ravine that offered some cover. They'd made it 1/2 kilometer when the first plasma bolt sizzled past, scorching the rock face beside them. Get down. Kaylara shouted, pulling Dominic behind an outcropping as more fire followed. Kaylara Vreshtai. A voice called in the Arathi high tongue. Surrender the human abomination, and your sentence may be commuted. Kaylara's crest flattened against her skull, a sign of anger Dominic now recognized. Purifiers, she hissed. Religious zealots. They know about the mark. Then they know about the prophecy, Dominic concluded. That makes me valuable. Or dangerous, she countered, depending on their interpretation. More plasma fire pinned them down. 5 Arathi warriors in ceremonial combat armor were advancing on their position, weapons charged. On my signal, Kaylara murmured, break right. I'll go left. Draw their fire away from the center, then double back. Dominic nodded, body tensing for action. When she gave the signal, they exploded from cover in opposite directions. Plasma fire followed them both, but the split attack created confusion among their pursuers. What happened next defied explanation. Without communication, without planning, Dominic and Kaylara executed a perfect pincer maneuver. He seemed to know exactly when she would emerge from cover, exactly where she would strike. She anticipated his movements with impossible precision, covering his advances, eliminating threats before they fully materialized. They moved as one organism, one mind with two bodies, human and Arathi united in lethal harmony. When it was over, 3 purifiers lay unconscious, 2 had fled, and Dominic and Keeler stood back to back, breathing hard. "How did you know I would circle behind the left flank?" she asked, amazement in her voice. "I just knew," he said, equally stunned. "Like I could feel what you were thinking." They looked at each other with new understanding. The prophecy was real. Whatever bond had formed between them went beyond physical attraction or battlefield alliance. "We need to find answers," Keeler said, retrieving a data crystal from one of the unconscious purifiers. "And I know where to look." The Temple of Convergence rose from the jungle floor like a fossilized leviathan, ancient stone covered in vines and moss, yet still emanating power. According to the data crystal, this was one of the last remaining sites where the original prophecy was recorded in full. "Our peoples have been fighting for generations," Keeler said as they approached the massive doorway. "But this temple predates our conflict by millennia." "You think our species knew each other before?" Dominic asked, the mark on his chest tingling in proximity to the structure. "I think we were one," she replied softly, "or at least far more connected than either side remembers." Inside, the air hung heavy with age and secrets. They followed a corridor lined with deteriorating murals depicting Arathi and what appeared to be primitive humans, not in combat, but in harmony, building, celebrating, even embracing. "These contradict everything I was taught," Keeler whispered, touching the images reverently. The corridor opened into a vast chamber dominated by a stone dais. Above it floated a crystalline object that seemed to defy gravity, spinning slowly, emitting a soft blue light. "The Convergence Codex," Keeler breathed. "I thought it was just a legend." As they approached, the crystal responded to their presence, spinning faster. Symbols appeared in the air around it, holographic projections of ancient text. "I can read it," Dominic realized with shock. "How can I read your ancient language?" "Because it's not just ours," Keeler said, eyes wide as understanding dawned. "The prophecy wasn't about a being who would unite our peoples. It was about the return of what we once were." The hologram shifted, showing genetic sequences, one human, one Arathi, then a third that contained elements of both. The truth revealed itself in glowing symbols. Long ago, their species had been engineered from the same source material by a now-vanished creator race. The Arathi had been designed for adaptation and survival, humans for innovation and expansion. They were complementary creations, meant to evolve separately but eventually reunite. A mark on Dominic's chest, the Thalisi symbol, represented this eventual convergence. Somehow, whether by accident or design, Dominic carried traces of both genetic patterns. "We aren't enemies," Keeler said, her voice breaking. "We're siblings separated at birth, finding our way back to each other." Dominic took her hand, their fingers intertwining, different in form, but perfectly matched in function. "No wonder I felt drawn to you from the beginning." The moment shattered as explosion rocked the temple. Outside, the sounds of combat erupted, human and Arathi forces, both converging on their location. "They followed us," Dominic realized. "Both sides." "Both sides want to stop what we've discovered," Keeler said. "This truth threatens everything they've built their wars upon." They stood together on the dais, the Convergence Codex spinning frantically above them, responding to Dominic's mark, which now glowed visibly through his clothing. "We have a choice," Keeler said, looking toward the entrance where combat raged. "Return to our peoples, pretend this never happened, or become what we're meant to be," Dominic finished. "The first of something new, something better." He pulled her close, their foreheads touching in an intimate gesture that spanned the artificial divide between their species. "I choose you," he whispered. "I choose us." "As do I," she replied, her crest flaring with emotion. "As the armies of two worlds fought to reach them, Dominic and Kalara activated the ancient convergence codex. The temple filled with blinding light as the truth of their shared origin was broadcast to all communications devices within range, human and Arathi alike. It wouldn't end the conflict overnight. Centuries of hatred couldn't be erased in a moment. But as they stood together, marked by destiny and bound by choice, they had created something neither side could ignore. The first spark of a future where distinction didn't mean division, and difference didn't mean destruction. In the light of that revelation, they embraced, no longer alien to each other, but the first citizens of a shared tomorrow.